4 guys wide higher where he can play any of them, right? They have 2 touches now to serve in. All right. The second ball would be played back to Christian, who's the goalkeeper up top. Actually, that might be Dom. And then we're playing out the other side. So he's going to get 2 crosses kind of within one set.
Yeah. I want to bring this up, Saskia, because this is a conversation, you always have. And we're talking about obviously resistance, and like, you can't really create that mental resistance of dealing with actual live crosses with actual live people. And I think, this is a conversation we always have, Saskia, is like for young goalkeeper coaches out there, is that ask your team for players. Like, if they're there, they've got a lot of guys, like that you can use them.
No, absolutely. And whether when we were at UCLA, a lot of times it would be, we'd have certain days where we would have the players. So I'd have the forwards along with Sam and I'd have the keepers, and we'd structure things around that. But on days that technically I didn't, like, it was like, who's coming back from rehab? Who's ready to strike a ball? Like, who can we use? There's so many players. Like, who can I use? So I would always see who I could grab, because that realism is paramount, and even if it's, instead of using a blow up doll, you have enough players that you can use live people. It makes a difference. If you have that ability, and if you have that option, do it. Absolutely do it.
Yeah. And I think, obviously Bushy.
Also, I don't want to strike all those balls.
but also, I mean, no disrespect to the goalkeeper union out there, but there's a huge difference between somebody that day in and day out trains as an outfield player, the way they move, the way they strike a ball, but also
their vision on the goalkeeper.
Exactly.
So they're going to see. So, like, I used to love when I'd get Mia Fischel, who's playing for Chelsea now. And because Mia had such a quick release on the ball that I couldn't mimic as a coach, and her timing and everything, that even if I had other attackers with me to put into a drill, they couldn't do. And so now you have a totally different vision, a totally different concept, that when you come up against another team that has a similar type of a player with a quick release, quick turn, you've seen it. And it's important to mix that up. And if you have the ability, I used to make kids bring their brother out or something. I was like, let's get an extra person out here if we can have it.
Yeah.
Or sister.
I think there's a time and a place for everything, Mike, like you were saying earlier, right? Like, depends on the age, depends on the level, depends on again, the why, what you want to accomplish. Yeah, there's some days where we may not get this dynamic, if you want to call it that. It might just be, hey, just serve across it.
Oh, absolutely. We used to, and when I played for New York, we used to end practice some days where it was just getting that timing. It was just like, we're just going to serve some crosses in. It's like a dance. Get your steps in, get your timing in, know when to go for the ball. There was no pressure. And it was just repetition.
Yeah.
You're making me think, too, Bushy, in regards to, like, I think a lot of coaches out there, when we talk about the foundational ages, and, obviously I was talking about, compartmentalization, earlier. I'm speaking about at the higher levels, at the foundational levels. It is important to compartmentalize and teach them step by step how to do specific actions, right?
Yeah. No, for sure. I think, again, depending on the level, depending on the age, right? Something like this might not be beneficial to them, right? You might even just start them with a toss ball. We start a lot of our crossing days with just a toss ball, as he was saying earlier, just to get our footwork and our timing into it. Right now, I may add, hey, you're going to catch this one, you're going to punch this one, to now add the across the body boxing, or a two-handed straight forward, right? You can add that technical side into it, but I'm working on their footwork and just their timing into the jump before we get live, So again, it depends on the level you're dealing with, depends on what you're trying to get accomplished. My opinion, I think sometimes now, sometimes you see, almost too much going on.
Yeah.
Right. Almost too much going. We got to go here. We got to go there. We got to do this. We got to do that. No, like, your goalkeeper is not ready for that. They can't catch the ball.
Exactly.
teach him or her how to catch the ball properly first, or dive or whatever. Here I'm making Jamali or whoever's in goal find that little, whether it's a pass or even a roll, like the quick transition. Boom! I caught across. Can we get after him? So going from out of possession to in possession, right? And just that thought process of we want to play quick, we want to play fast.
I'll never forget. I tell that story about my first ID camp I ever did, and I came out and I had my little session and everything like that. And it was a crossing and a shooting session because I only had them for a certain amount of time before they played like scrimmages for coaches to watch. And I'm like, oh my god, they can't catch the ball.
Yeah.
And I had to change my whole session on the fly because I was like, I thought this was an ID camp, but I'm like, apparently not. And they can't catch the ball. Like I have to actually totally go in reverse here, and realize, no, we have a problem.
I mean, look, that's a whole other topic right there in regards to like, how do you handle, coaching in an identification element, environment, because a lot of the times an ID camp is identifying who can't play.
I would say, first of all, parents, stop sending your kids to ID camps when they're not at the level to be in an ID camp, period. Just because you want them to be in front of a college coach and they have no business being there, because in those situations, we only have a certain amount of time, and the whole point is to ID players. Instead, I'm not there to break everything down and teach a kid how to catch.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like send them to regular camp and I'll do that, but that's a whole nother story.
Send them to Camp Shutout. Send them to Camp Shutout and learn how to be a goalkeeper. And then
apparently I'm never going to be asked to be a coach there. So your kid can't catch. Get him out of here.
When you're talking about, spending money and everything like that as a parent out there, and this is just kind of a thing for parents out there, is like, where should you spend your money? Should you spend your money finding an outside coach in your area that can develop your young goalkeeper, or spend that same amount of money for them to go to the North Carolina ID camp where they're already expected to be at a certain level in order to be there? You just can't put the cart before the horse, right, Bushy?
No, but I think, some of it's, and I'm speaking for what I've seen here since I've been here almost a year now, like some of it's just lack of knowledge, lack of understanding.
Yeah, agreed.
What the level is.
Agreed. 100% agree.
Where it depends on, are you a big fish in a small pond, or are you a small fish in a big pond? And they just may not know what that level is.
Their kid is doing great on their club team and stuff, and they're this like really athletic, great little goalkeeper. Technically they're not a good goal. They're not there.
Yeah.
And it's not understanding that you have to get there we've gone off tangent, but you have to get there because, the amount of times I've seen goalkeepers put into those situations and quit and literally be all of a sudden get an injury or something, but at the same time, like, just know that it's over their head.
Yes.
So
they just don't know better. They just don't know better.
No, they don't.
No, I mean, and that's where parents' education comes into play, which is something that we're trying to help with.
Yes.
With everything moving forward. Bushy, I want to ask you though, with the limited time, and I appreciate you doing this because I know, you're still in the middle of the season, and not the middle. You're at the end of the season before the playoffs and stuff like that. So it's a busy time, but for any young coaches out there that are listening, what's the best way, in your opinion, to layer your sessions so they have all these different elements, but you're not still overcomplicating it?
A lot goes into it, right? And it's like being a player too. The more times you work on it, and the more training sessions you get and games you get, the things get easier. They get better. You can adjust on the fly. You can, oh, this worked today or this didn't work there. A lot goes into it. How much time do you have with them? How many sessions are you seeing them? Whether it's
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
How's it going?
Hey, Owen.
Good. What's up, dude?
Nothing much, honestly. I'm just making sure I echo cancellation, the background noise, all that stuff. That's I was like trying to remember what I had to click to make sure I was all good with audio, but I think I'm good.
You're good. You're good, dude. You're good. You're good. You're treating this extremely professionally. For a young man. How old are you? 20?
I'm 19. I'm 19. I have to
You're
think about that one
19.
every time now. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's crazy. Gosh, my gosh, that's amazing, dude. No, we're excited about this, dude. I'm glad that you're on board. I think this is going to be really good. I think it's going to be a great way to introduce this whole platform to people. I think they're really going to dig it. If you guys are tuning in right now, we're going to start in about a couple minutes right now with the one and only Owen Cornell from Notre Dame.
Nice.
The
One and
Notre Dame.
only.
Do you guys say the Notre Dame like the Ohio State or?
No, we don't. I got made fun of this summer because I shortened it to ND, and somebody was like, "Why do you call it that?" And I was like, "I don't know." But no, we don't add the "the." We don't add the "the."
You don't add the "the." All right, cool.
No.
Well, let's just get this started here. Here we go. Hold on, let me just change this thing here, this banner, and here we go. Welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live from Hollywood, California. With me in Woodland Hills, California. Hopefully it's not 104 degrees over there. The one and only 99 World Cup winner, Saskia Weber. What is up, Susk?
Nothing. It's not 104. It's like maybe 98 or something.
98 degrees. Okay. Oh my gosh. Wow. That is a reference. That is a deep cut reference that
Well,
only
look,
a few
it
people
was like it was nice and cold all last week and stuff. It was like, normal, and then all of a sudden heat wave. So is what it is.
Well, speaking of heat waves, it gets a little warm when you're in Stevens Point, Wisconsin at Camp Shutout, which is where I met this young man right over here. We have Notre Dame, not the Notre Dame, Notre Dame or ND goalkeeper Owen Cornell joining us. What's up, dude? How is it over in what's the name of the town that Notre Dame's in again?
South Bend, Indiana.
South
South
Bend.
Bend,
That's
Indiana.
right.
What is wrong
And
with
so-
you? Wait
I
a
don't
minute.
know.
thing-
I've been
Hold
doing
on,
doing
Owen.
a lot of
Wait.
stuff this past week.
Mike,
Okay?
But that's just iconic. Like
I know.
it's
I
iconic.
know.
It's like
I know the Golden Dome, all that
Is
stuff.
it?
Like, come on.
Oh my gosh, man. Well, Owen, I know you're in the middle of your college season right now, but we appreciate you taking the time and everything. So, for people who kind of aren't familiar with who you are and everything, why don't you kind of explain who the heck you are and how you ended up at Notre Dame?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my name's not too well known. I guess it wouldn't be because I'm currently just I'm our second string, our backup goalie here at Notre Dame this year. I'm a sophomore. Didn't play at all last year, redshirted, and got my one game last week. It was kind of a non-conference game, but they all count. So first game was last week, collegiately, officially. Playing some preseason stuff, but no, still a long way before I get my name really out there. But had a decent academy career with Chicago FC United, and then obviously met Michael up at Camp Shutout this year, which has been a really cool new thing for me because I actually never went as a kid. But no, not a super well known name. I'll admit that for now, but we'll get there. We'll get there for sure.
Dude, I mean, you're being way too humble. First off, you have a potential MLS, a prospect, right in front of you at Notre Dame. So big shoes to fill, when you got a senior, in front of you like that. And hey, you're learning a lot from it, which is honestly one of the reasons why, Saskia, people like Owen are perfect choices, for player mentors, for youth
Absolutely.
athletes,
No, absolutely. And it's exactly what we want. And I love the humility in it and everything. And that's important. It is. It'll make you a great mentor. It really will, because you're going to talk to players, kids, and everything that that go through, being second, what it's like to move up to number one, and having that experience and stuff goes a long way.
I mean, absolutely. And Owen, feel free to step in anytime time you want, unless you want to save all your voice for next week when you start your office hours.
I
But
mean, you guys are what, sixth in the country right now, right?
RPI says number 3 now after last night.
Okay,
So
I'm not on RPI.
yeah,
So sorry.
no, that's fair. Coaches poll I think says 6. But no, we are we're doing really, really well.
Yeah, you are.
We've got a great team. So I'm really excited for last 2 games these next 2 Fridays.
And by the way, Owen, I think one of the things that, for those out there who are listening outside the United States to understand how the NCAA college system works and everything like that, you play in one of the toughest conferences, if not the toughest conference.
Well, that's why RPI has them at 3, and that's where you want to be. Like, the coaches poll's fine, but if you're RPI at 3, it means your seeding in the tournament's going to be great.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing. Like our coach was saying, he's like, hey, like every game we play now is like, it's a fight to win and play at home, right? So it's like every game that we can, if we win it, it's like, okay, now we get to play at home again. We get our home field advantage, where it's definitely not 98 degrees. Some teams can't handle that. Some teams cannot handle that. So we'll take it. We'll take it.
And I think also, Owen, I think one of the really, important things for a lot of young players out there listening, and we'll talk about it as we start talking about, player mentorship and, and the union mentorship program and all of that, is the simple fact that, like, most goalkeepers come into college, especially at an elite school like a Notre Dame, and they don't start right away. Like you have to get acclimated to the environment. You took your redshirt year, and now you're on the roster, and you even got a match this year and everything like that. Like, how important was that for you to take that redshirt year last year?
Oh man, it was honestly the best thing that could have ever happened to me because I was just naive about the game, and so I came in doing a little bit of USL2 with the South Bend Lions, which is a team that was here. So I came a little bit early for the summer, kind of get acclimated and stuff like that. But I just didn't understand like what a real pressure sensitive game was because I'm used to those academy games, MLS Next, where it's like, hey, we're gonna build out of the back, like, oh, okay, we give up the ball we choke it up to their number 9 if we're trying to build out and they score a goal on us. Oh, what happened? Like whatever. Like we're developing players. Like at this level, it's really all about 1-2 goals, like very small margins, and like results are pretty important. Like people's jobs obviously rely on those types of decisions. And so kind of I just had this idea like, oh, why don't I just try and play these cute little intricate passes? And I just didn't realize how cutthroat it really was. And it honestly took me until probably this summer to really realize, and I actually learned from another goalkeeper, just watching him play ahead of me, because in my USL2 this summer, watching him play ahead of me, I was like, oh, like this is what the man's game is. And so I'll get into that a little bit later, but no, definitely being mentored and seeing older guys and seeing the guys in front of me playing has taught me a lot about what it really means to play at the next level.
Adding on to that, Saskia, obviously, you coached at the highest level over at UCLA, and you were involved in recruiting and trying to find the right players, for the system and the right people for the system. And I know that this is a conversation that you had with several different goalkeepers in regards to how important it is for them to, find an environment that not only are they going to get playing time, but they're going to be put in a system where they're going to be successful when they do eventually get on the field.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to UCLA and you look at, Lauren, who came in behind Tegan and was there for 2 years, I mean, Lauren had to pay her dues and work up to it. COVID happened, so she got an extra 10 years out of that. And now she's, with San Diego, and they're number 1 in the league. But then even going into recruiting now, when we look at players that have come to me, you have to find the right environment. You can, kids get in their head, I want to play here. They're the best team. I want to be the best. That's the best fit for me because they're the best. And it might not be the best fit for you at all. And and it is hard because a lot of these keepers come out of their ECNL teams or whatever academies as never knowing, not being a starter, never knowing what it is to kind of sit back and learn, pay your dues. And it's important to do that. It's very rare that a goalkeeper walks in a freshman year and starts.
Yeah. And I think sometimes that can even be a detriment to somebody, Owen, if they come in, right away to a university and they start, because they might not be ready for that level yet, and then they get shell shocked, and then they can never recover from it.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, like, I'm coming in like kind of Saskia, like you were talking about, like people who just think like I've never honestly. There's been times where I like thought I should have played up or something like that, and I was like, I feel like I'm the number 2 here, but no, I mean, I was lucky enough to kind of be one of those those kids that just never really like had to face a ton of adversity and playing like being behind, being a 1 or 2 or 3, like stuff like that, and so. Coming into college, like I was not ready. I wasn't even close to the adversity of even if I had been starting and games hadn't gone well, I wouldn't have been ready for that. And I think that now, like, it's not that nothing can phase me, but I think I'm definitely more prepared for the ups and downs of what a real college season will end up looking like maybe next year.
Yeah, and like I think moving forward, people have to realize going pro as well. Like you're not, it's very rare you're gonna roll into a pro team and start. So, it's kind of in the bigger scheme of things, it's getting you ready for a future.
And obviously, Owen, obviously, your academics is important, and Notre Dame is a
School.
massive academic institution. But Notre Dame is also known as a goalkeeping factory that produces goalkeepers consistently over and over and over again. So, when you're looking at those decisions, like for colleges where you're like, well, I do want to be a professional, and this is going to give me an opportunity to not only be in an academic environment where I can succeed, and then if I keep developing and get the opportunities, this could also put me in the driver's seat to maybe be a pro.
No, I mean, absolutely. I think the academics definitely played a factor in that decision. But I remember sitting down on my visit with my goalkeeper coach, and he said, not even like Notre Dame, but he said like him personally, like, hey, like I've worked with. I think he said every single goalkeeper that he had worked with, like in college, had ended up having some type of pro career. And I just kind of looked at that and I said, hey, this guy probably knows what he's doing. And so, if I trust that, and I trust like the type of team we are, like we're now currently, I want to say we're like almost 500 minutes without conceding a goal. We're on like a streak like that.
Knock
right
on
now.
wood somewhere.
And,
knock on wood.
Knock on. I'm knock on everything, but no, I mean that's the type of program that this is. Like we are defensively very, very strong, very, very sound. And yeah, I mean there's definitely something to goalkeeping here where they take it seriously and they really appreciate us and they know like what it means to have someone solid back there. And so I mean goalkeeping factory, I don't know, but I mean maybe I can add to the lineage down the road.
see, not complete humility. You still got some confidence right there. There you go.
Oh no, come on.
Saskia, but before we get into the topic and really excited about this because it's obviously going to be introducing what you're going to be doing with the union as well as a lot of top pros out there. I want to talk about just finding not only an environment that you're going to be academically successful, but also finding an environment that is successful for goalkeeping, because that's a little bit different, right? I know you've had this conversation with some different youth goalkeepers, in the past in regards to, maybe that's a great school from a winning standpoint, but they don't develop goalkeepers. So you want to go somewhere that's going to encourage you to become a better goalkeeper.
Absolutely. And again, it goes back to, you can't just check off a box and say, hey, I want to go to UNC because of their history and winning, or I want to go to UCLA because they won the national championship last year, and so on and so forth. Like what fits for you? And, I've had literally have these talks, and I'm really proud of some of the goalkeepers that have committed to schools that like we talked about and really fit them, and the goalkeeper coaches and the kind of like what was going on with their team and the investment and the investment in their future, in their family and their connections. And so I think that you have to look at all of that, because, you know, you have to be happy where you're at as well. And we talked about this, and, you know, you have to know that the person is there to advance you as a goalkeeper, technically, tactically, everything, and not just be a trainer. And I keep coming back to this, that you have coaches out there that can set up the cones, that can set up a drill, and that can kick a ball and everything like that. But is that really advancing your skills? Are they coaching you, or are they training you? And that's a question that you have to ask yourself.
Yeah. You know, and speaking of that, you know, there's a lot of great resources out there for people to keep owning their skills. And a lot of people think that it's just about, you know, getting cones and doing drills and everything like that. But so much of what we do is off the field in regards to the guidance and the coaching that we do with goalkeepers, whether it's in film rooms and breaking down sessions, or nutrition talks, or sports performance talks and everything like that, which is kind of getting us to this right over here. And today's topic is player mentorship. And if you guys are not familiar, it's a kind of an open secret, and we're just about to introduce it to everybody right here. But we are beginning the Union Premium service next week, next Monday. We got a wonderful, wonderful office hour, starting with somebody like Fred Bragaglia from Seattle Sounders is going to be doing an Ask Me Anything on Monday. I know, Owen, I believe you begin your office hours next Monday as well, as a college mentor. Really quickly, you know, Owen, first off, what do we mean by player mentorship, and why do you believe as a college player it's your responsibility to give back to the youth athletes?
Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of a loaded question. Player mentorship. There's a lot of components. There's a lot of components that go into it. But really, I mean, for me, the people that have been my player mentors have been the people who, you know, they look out for me as a person, as a player, and they're here to help me develop and learn things that I wouldn't have learned maybe without their help, and help me through the things that maybe they needed help with. So I think being a player mentor means that you have to be proactive. You have to look out for the people who are below you or younger than you, and going through and helping out those people is what a mentor does. And so I think that the people that I kind of look up to have for different reasons stood out, but one person in particular, I'd say Brian Dowd, actually the person who's now ahead of me here at Notre Dame. We spent a ton of time together even before I came here, and he helped me, like, showed me the ropes about, like, college recruiting, just intricate little things like growing up in the game that I hadn't known about, like, how to hit this type of ball, or how to train differently, different habits, stuff like that. Like, those are things that stuck with me, and that just that accelerated my growth, and helped me to become a better player a lot faster and a lot quicker, just through hearing their experience.
You know, talking about that, you know, Saskia, you know, obviously, you know, we're talking about, you know, what you can do off the field and everything like that. But like for young goalkeepers out there who are in a club environment or even a collegiate environment and everything like that, is that I think a lot of the times they don't take the time to look at the players that are behind them and say, you know what, it's only going to push me if I make them better. It's only going to make me a better goalkeeper if I push them. And a lot of the times they get insecure and go, oh, you know, so-and-so wants to play, so, you know, I'm going to try to keep forcing, you know. Thoughts on that?
Well, you have to make a community around you, like you know, your small team as a head goalkeeper coach. So outside of your players, that makes them comfortable having that communication within each other, whether it's a senior talking to a junior, talking to a freshman, or a red shirt. You have to let it be okay. So there isn't some kind of a, well, I'm, you know, why is this guy telling me what to do? You know, kind of an attitude or something. And so the minute that you make that environment comfortable, like, there's feedback, and that just teaches you yourself, when you're watching another keeper, what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and having that communication back and forth. It just facilitates that education in itself. And, like, you'll see people step back, and, like, I used to step back and watch Lauren or watch, whoever talk to each other, and the keeper crew would go over stuff and talk about mistakes and everything. And they had a good camaraderie, and you need to develop that.
And I want to add on to this right here, Owen. I love what you put here in regards to like what makes me unique, because I think as a mentor, as any sort of person that is going to be out there and giving guidance to others, you need to understand yourself first, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Do you want me to like touch on the stuff?
No,
No, I
no,
mean,
no.
just,
You can answer Mike in one word answers. Sometimes his questions are rhetorical, and we just and I'm like,
Come on,
yeah.
give him some credit.
I'm just teasing him.
I've been working on back end stuff in the portal for a week. My eyes are blurry.
I don't know if that. Mike, I think yes, you have to be confident in yourself, but you also have to have the humility to know that you're still learning at the same time. And so,
absolutely.
when you're mentoring somebody, you have to be, and even if it's a teammate or whatever, you have to be open to. No, you don't know it all. You're seeing something, and maybe you guys can figure this out together in a mentality. It's not. We all know goalkeeping is a gray area. It's not my way or the highway, and the best educators and mentors know that.
Absolutely. I actually love what you just said right there, Susk. And Owen, obviously, you're studying psych as well too, just like Susk did. So you're understanding that about that. A lot of the times,
mine was a long time ago. Like I think I knew Freud. That's how long ago it was. Just kidding.
But I love what Susk said there in regards to like, sometimes it's just about having a sounding board and somebody that can understand and empathize with you because they've been through the struggles that you have.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's really the biggest thing. It's like finding people that, obviously, like if you're playing with someone, then you're probably in the same environment, like exactly what's going on, and you might not have had the same experiences, but you can share and like, this is difficult for me. Oh no, wait, this is difficult for me. Wait, these are kind of the same thing. I can help you through this. You can help me through that. Like, if everyone who wears gloves, we've all done similar things. We've all made similar mistakes. Like, it's like whether you make it when you're 5 or 55, like it's still kind of the same thing, So we all understand each other to some degree, and I think that's actually what's really special about goalkeepers is that we end up going through the same stuff, no matter who you are.
Of course, at 55, you might need a hip replacement or something, but yes.
Yeah, I think I chose the wrong number there. I was like, oh, as soon as I hit like 5, I was like, do I go 25? Do I go 35? And
ask Mike in another 10 years or something, and he'll let you know.
We have a game tomorrow night. We need to win and in. We're in the playoffs, guys. It's very, very, very important.
There you go.
Very important, Matt.
That is important. We're not going to
downplay
that.
No, it's awesome.
We still have to play. Okay, so I want to talk about this right here because with you incorporating all the different things with mentorship, you talking about like being able to use personal anecdotes to help others. Like, what do you kind of mean by that?
Right. So these two things, when I was kind of writing up, I was kind of just thinking that these were two things these were moments where people kind of really helped me understand and go through things. So when I wrote teammates here, it's really just the GK union that's here at Notre Dame is I think really, really special because last year truthfully I really struggled like acclimatizing to what college soccer was. I didn't know my role. I didn't know if I was third, fourth, second string. Like I was kind of all over the place. And one of the guys ahead of me who ended up being our second string last year, he was one of the biggest reasons why I was able to just get through the year. And so like I'll say thank you to Liam for this, but he was always there checking in on me as a person. First and foremost, because he knew like he didn't need to critique me on if I was set the right spot. Like he knew I didn't need that, but he was always there to just, look at me and say, hey, like smile, it's good for you. Like that was his biggest thing last year. And so stuff like that, I think is really unique. And that's one thing that's kind of pulled me through, with my mentorship. And I think that's something that is going to shape me going forward because, I know what that meant for me. And so for younger kids, whether it's people I know, people I don't know, or people who want to connect with me, obviously through the union, those experiences I think can help me, help you in a better way. And then the mental side of the game was something from a little bit farther ago, a little bit longer ago. Sorry, but I would say that the mental game is something that I obviously continue to work with. That's why I'm a psychology major. I think it's important and interesting. But I was kind of a head case, and by kind of I mean I was horrible. Like kicking the post, all that kind of stuff.
Oh no.
When I was younger, and so understanding that too. Now I think I've definitely calmed down and I'm kind of known as like a more like energetic, like positive presence out of the back. I think that that's something that's also going to shape the way I go about mentoring people because I don't think that constantly being negative or allowing yourself to be negative is something that is beneficial. And so I think that's one of the things that point out and really focus on when I'm working with these younger kids.
I saw Saskia's head when Owen was talking about kicking the post. It was making me think about like when like I've done stupid things like that and literally like almost broken my hand and things like that from punching posts. But like I think Susk, one of the things is that like we've all made mistakes as goalkeepers, and especially on the mental side. And I think a lot of young goalkeepers out there don't recognize that everyone goes through these things. It's not unique to them. We've all gone through it.
I think what I found, yes, but I think what I found, especially younger goalkeepers, and we've talked about this, Mike, is that when you act out, like when we've kick the goalpost, punch the goalpost. Mike, don't punch goalposts.
Don't do it now.
It's called a boxer fracture. It'll go snap. When you outwardly act out like that, 90% of the time, I'd say even more than that, it's to identify to other people that you screwed up, right? So it's like it's an acting out. It's like, oh man, I let that. Oh, I know I messed up. Oh, we know you messed up. The ball's in the back of the net, right? Or we know like you shanked the punt, or we know you did this, or stuff like that. And so there's no reason to like it's the past is the past. It is what it is. And that I went through that with some of the UCLA goalkeepers and stuff like that. I was just like, why? What? Like, why are you looking over at me during the game? Like for I know, everybody knows, just move forward with it. And I think, and I know Owen knows this as well, as you get older and as you make more mistakes and as things happen and stuff, you learn that, all right, pick the ball up out of the back. It's not serving anybody. All it is that negative energy that filters up in through your team. And now your team is questioning your mental state. And now their mental state is focused on you and everything like that, and there's that act as if mentality. All right, this happened, move forward. But that comes with experience and it comes with age and it comes with going through it. Going through the process.
Absolutely. And, and like Owen, like just what Saskia was saying right there was just kind of making me think about the fact that like, if we didn't make those mistakes, we wouldn't be where we are today. Like those mistakes are what shape us, right?
No, yeah. I mean, 100%. Like looking back and knowing who I was at that stage, like as young as I was, when I was really at the the peak of my mental instability is the way I'll phrase that one. It was like my teammates didn't want to play knowing I was there. Like they knew they were just going to get screamed at and it was going to be a mess. And so it's just knowing where I came from there and knowing that, hey, like you just can't do that at this level because those fine margins, if someone's thinking about something other than the ball that's right in front of them or the man they have to track, that it's going to lead to a goal. And it might not be your mistake, but it might be your mistake causing someone else's mind to be in a different place.
Absolutely.
And all those things kind of domino effect.
At 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. And, and that's the thing too, is that like a lot of the times it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, if we're screaming and yelling negative things, at our players or upset that they're not doing this and not doing that, well, then it ends up happening. because we're putting that energy out there, or they just start giving up on us and being like, well, he thinks I'm not marking him anyway. So what's the point? What's the point? He's just going to keep yelling at me.
But I think your mind is put into a place where it shouldn't be. You shouldn't be focusing on the yelling. You shouldn't be focusing on if Owen's mind is right because he made a mistake and now he's yelling at me. And that's you shouldn't even be thinking about that.
Mhm.
It shouldn't be in your head while you're playing. You know, if you guys want to get into a room after the game or the next day or something and hash it out, fine, but not during the game.
For
You know,
sure.
by the way, Owen, I love the way that you put this presentation together, because it seems like you're pitching yourself to be a mentor for the union. You're already in. You're already in. We've
I'm
already
pitching
accepted
myself
you.
to the future subscribers. Come on.
I love it.
No, I love it, man. No, I appreciate it tremendously. I want to talk about this part here. You put real days in the life of college goalkeepers. I think that that's extremely important for young goalkeepers to hear it from somebody like yourself, as opposed to concept from a coach or from a parent or anything like that, you know, because you're in it right now. You know, I'm speaking it from concept or from experience like 100 million years ago, you know, so you can kind of, you know, talk to them about, like, because the college environment now is very different than it was even like 5 years ago. Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I kind of wrote that down, I was just thinking, like, I mean, soccer is 2.5 to 3 hours of my day. That might even be a lot. That, like, I mean, I get to let's say I get to the practice facility at like 3:15, 3:30 at the end of my last class. We start film at 3:45. We get done with practice at 6. I'm out by 6:30. So let's say it's 3 hours out of my day. That's my time at soccer. For the other part of my day, I don't want to think about it, because then I'm just obsessive, and I want to have my time at the field, be my time at the field. Um, but I don't want to obsess over it. And I think that there's kind of this idea that, okay, if I'm going to college to play soccer, that's all I have to do. Well, no, I've got a whole lot of day of school to do, right? And I want to balancing my friends, because that's what's going to allow me to relax enough to actually perform on the field. And balancing all those things is something that I didn't even understand until I was thrown in the middle of it last year. And so if I could, you know, just kind of preach that a little bit to guys who are about to get into it, I think it sets them up for a lot more success, even than what I had.
I mean, look, man. I mean, I'm. It's just making me think. It's like I didn't have this. You know, I know Sus didn't have this. You know, I mean, going into school. I mean, I you know, not to toot our own horn or anything like that, but I recommend every youth goalkeeper that's getting ready to go to college to find a collegiate player, to whether it's Owen or somebody else, to help guide them, because it is just such a culture shock. Even I remember, you know, again 100 years ago, how I was such an idiot too. God, such an man. Now you're making me think back. Those grades were not great that first semester. I'll tell you that. My freshman year in college. I want to do this right now. Obviously, you know, you're going to be, you know, doing some stuff here. I want to show people kind of how this whole process kind of works, so you can kind of see how it works here, guys. And I've been putting a lot of time and effort into this, so I'm very proud of myself with these little pictures, these little widgets, and all sorts of stuff here. So what's going to happen, basically, everybody, is you get your office hours scheduler. When you go to the front page of the union, on the premium section, you go to one-on-one coaching, and you click on one-on-one coaching, and it takes you to this office hour scheduler. And you have these 3 people that have current events right now, and you choose Owen right there. If you want to be with Owen, you could be with me too, or you could be with Ben. But we're going to go with Owen for right now. And you see his schedule, you see what days he's got available. Then from there, you choose one of those days, and then you got, oh, look, there's Owen right there. He's available. Great. And then you find out a little bit about him right here. You find out what time slots he's got available. And you can either be put on if he's available, or you can join the wait list. And if somebody cancels, you can join Owen right over there. And I think Owen might even be doing some group sessions too, right? Or are you just doing one-on-ones?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think group stuff could be totally fine. I mean, depending, honestly, it depends on kind of what people want, because I'm fine doing one-on-one. But if people want to do group stuff, I mean, it's up to them, honestly. I'm just going to be available.
And so what you guys are going to basically see here, so basically you've got the bio of the mentor and kind of, you know, what hours they are available, and then it's got the purpose of the office hours. And I think that's really important, Saskia, is that all our pros, all our mentors, you know, are giving specific reasons on why you go with them, because there's a bunch of different, I think we got 30 mentors to start with, all the way from MLS, NWSL, EPL, SPL, college. And they're all bringing something different to the table. You know, and I know, Saskia, I know we've had this conversation that you can learn from anybody.
Yeah, but it's to find your fit. You know, there's no one answer to everything. You know, if you have certain questions about something and you go to Owen's office hours and they fit those questions. And if maybe you want to have some questions about life, you know, after college, and you want to go to one of our MLS mentors, then that's where you go as well. Like, it's the same as goalkeeper coaches. You know, I've had a certain amount of goalkeeper coaches throughout my career, and I've taken something from every single one of them to make me successful. And I thank every single one of them for being my mentors equally. And not just my goalkeeper coaches, like my strength and conditioning coaches and like everybody else. So,
which is a great point that you brought up right there, because we are going to have strength and conditioning coaches, sports performance coaches, mindset coaches, nutritionists, all on this platform starting next Monday in the office hours section. This is the email that you get, basically, that tells you that you're confirmed. This one is where I have an appointment with myself and for today.
It's
so
good
that's
to
how I
take
do
time
that.
with yourself, Mike.
It really is. It really is. But Owen, you know, talking about kind of like, you know, the things that you're using your office hours for, one of the things that you said that was very important to you is breaking down film and teaching young players how to break down film. Why is that so important to you?
Yeah, so I mean, the thing that I spent a lot of time breaking my own film down, and if you look up my name on YouTube, you'll see every time I've touched the ball in a game for like 2 years, just because always having that there and just seeing the growth that I have has been important to me. But really, it's just about seeing the decisions that you make and seeing where you can improve with your starting positions. And I feel like decision making on the ball is the biggest deal for film, because you can just you can make better decisions, put yourself in a better spot just to make saves and to connect and help in the build. Because, you know, if you're looking at crossing, for example, maybe there's a ball that you're like, oh, well, he had this header from 6 yards out. What was I supposed to do? Well, if you're 2 yards off your line, then you were never going to get to the cross. But maybe if you're 4 yards off your line, maybe he doesn't get that header from 6 yards out because it's in your hand because you wouldn't claim the cross, right? And so those are preventative measures that I think understanding film and just learning about the tactical side of the game can be so beneficial, just because it allows you to just put out fires before they start. You know, it's that really like idea of preventative goalkeeping, knowing where you are in the goal, and trying to improve on that is going to be, I think, one of the biggest deals that you can make, like one of the biggest growths. From that youth to the more high level game.
No, I agree. And I think that, like, you see it a lot, like it's a telltale sign of, like, in recruiting videos and stuff that you send out. Like, is your recruiting video the final action, right? So here's the save I made. Here's this I made. And as a coach, I'm looking for the build. I'm looking for how you handled a situation coming at you before the final action. Like, what was your positioning? What was, like, where did you have your defense position? Again, like you said, with crosses, if you were set 4 yards out instead of 2 yards out, could you have been there? What kind of a cross was it and everything like that? Not the final action, not the tip over the bar. What led up to it? And young goalkeepers need to learn that, and they need to learn how to look at film that way. They need to back the film up and say, well, why did this breakdown happen to begin with? And what could I have done verbally, or what to set my defense properly so this breakdown didn't happen? And then once the breakdown did happen, what was my position going into it? It's not just about the final action. It's about all of that. And so, you have to be taught that, and you have to be taught what you're looking for.
You know, one thing I want to say, Owen, which I really, really love is when we were having this conversation in your quote unquote interview to be a mentor, but which you passed with flying colors, was the fact that you talked about, you know, you want to share your own film with these young players as well too, so that it doesn't just sound like you're talking down to them, but you're also showing them examples of, like, from a positive and a negative on where it was successful and where it wasn't successful.
Oh no, of course. I mean, that's the biggest deal for me is that, like, sometimes you can make a positive final action. Oh wow, like I was 2 yards in, like towards my near post, like, but he just happened to hit it right down the middle, and I made it a save. It's like you can really kind of start to tweak and learn from your mistakes and your successes. And there's always a positive and a negative to kind of almost every decision you make, because sometimes you'll be in a good spot but they still beat you near post. And someone will say, "Oh, well, why'd you get beat near post?" It's like, well, I was trying to cut off the inside, like the high cross. Like you can. It's like every risk you take kind of could warrant a success or could warrant a failure. And so there's always pros and cons to every position you make. Every literally in goalkeeping, every 1 millimeter right or left or up or down you move, there's a pro and a con to it. And so seeing the successes and seeing the failures side by side can help you come to that happy medium and decide, okay, this is where I would ideally like to be in each position.
That was so eloquently put, because, you know, I think a lot of times, Saskia, you know, and I am going to, you know, continue on and share it with people, you know, how the rest of this process works here. But I do want to address this. So many young goalkeepers out there only want to show their success because they're so worried about what people will think about them getting scored on, and showing examples. And shout out to all the young goalkeepers who in the engagement forum have been showing situations that were not successful and asking for feedback, or DMing me and asking for feedback on the Union platform, because you learn more from your mistakes than you do from your successes, right? So
Absolutely. And if you listen, it's not a highlight video with, you know, Beyonce in the background or Taylor Swift. It's education. And so you can and I've told players that have reached out to me on the Union and stuff, like, okay, look at my recruiting video or something like that. I'm like, oh, all right, it's great, but what I'd like to see is some training in there, and I'd like to see the full training segment of it. Like that means if there's the segment is 7 shots, let's say, like, I want to see all 7. So if you save 4, I want to see why you let up the other 3. And I can get an idea of the way to help, and the way the mistakes you make and the things you do right. And if you correct those mistakes in the flow of something, like, all of that is important in education. It's not just, I did this, I did this, I did this. Isn't this great? You know?
And I also want to say this too, you know, one of the things that I think is really important is getting different point of views from different people. I want to make it clear, you know, I mean, one of the reasons why we have so many different mentors from so many different walks of life with so many different, you know, skill sets, is because we want people to be able to work with different people on different areas, or on the same area, and get a different point of view. Because it's not a black and white when it comes to goalkeeping, right, Owen? It's a gray area. And just because, you know, you say, oh, hey, this is how I would approach it, doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to work for everybody.
No, honestly, 100%, because there's, like, as simple as it sounds, it's like, oh well, if you're 6 feet tall, you're gonna have to be in a different spot than someone who's 6'6". Like that's I mean, that's a simple thing to be able to wrap your head around. But even there's a very similar goalkeeper, very similar build to me here at Notre Dame, and I think we approach things in very different ways. Like sometimes I'll be a little bit higher off my line than he would be, or like in different crossing positions, he'd be a little bit deeper than me. But we're always there to add, you know, different comments to each other, like, hey, like, do you think you should have been here? And I was like, but I kind of like being up higher. He goes, oh, okay. I mean, if that works for you, and right, that dialogue that we have is really interesting, because it's all personal preference. Like that's the other part of it. It's like maybe this spot would work for me, but it's not objectively the best like set position in the world. Like it's subjective, because if it works for me and I make the save, maybe if you did the exact same thing, you wouldn't make the save. And so it's all a huge like gray area, all personal preference, all that kind of stuff.
You know, and speaking of that, Saskia, I was just kind of thinking about this, you know, through my own development, you know, with different people that I confide in and everything like that, is that sometimes, you know, I feel more comfortable talking about certain areas of my game with one person and other areas of my game with another person, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean that you're going against somebody, or, you know, I think, you know, we've had this conversation about, you know, goalkeeper coaches and all that, you know, being territorial, but like, it's really important that you're getting different voices, you know, in your development, right?
Oh, absolutely. And across the board, not just from your goalkeeper, not just from your, oops. Oh, the union just popped up and started playing a video.
Oh.
Not just from your goalkeeper coach, but also understanding how to talk with your head coach and their point of view and what they see. And if they're telling you one thing and it's not resonating with what your goalkeeper coach is telling you, you need to have those conversations. You need to understand. And so when it comes to your mentors, yes, test it out. Like Omar might tell you something totally different than not totally different, but a different point of view than Owen might, and then find that middle ground. Say, well, you know, Omar, when I was talking with Owen, like, you know, here's where I was having the problem, and you'll find a middle ground there, and the way to tweak whatever's going on in your game to fit you the best way possible.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's really important, is that you know, as we kind of wrap this up and get into some match actions of Owens that we're going to break down too. I don't know if he knew that we were going to do that, but we are, because we always do, and we want to get your insight on these as well too. As I think that it's really, really important that people feel uncomfortable and recognize that everyone is there to help them. They're not there. The reason that these mentors are here, it's not for themselves, it's for you. So if you look at it that way, you know, you're not bothering them, you're not wasting their time. It's about what you need out of them, you know? And I know, Owen, I know that's why you said you wanted to do this in the first place.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I mean, I honestly, it's like you were saying earlier, do you want to do group stuff, individual stuff? I mean, honestly, like if someone wants to come to me, like I'll help them whatever way they need, because it's still like it's like I'm even going back to the beginning. It's like it's not like I've got this crazy big name, but if people want help from me, I mean, I'm happy to give it whenever I can.
Yeah, you know, absolutely. All right, so let's get into some of these match actions right over here. Let's see if I can pop these up right here. Okay, so and first off, thanks for sending these. There's so many different types of actions here. This first one, actually, you know what? I don't want to go with this one first. I want to go. There's one that I really liked. Hold on. Not that these aren't great, but I want to start with this one because it's okay.
This,
you know,
this
the
is
one I'm
sweet
talking
sir.
about right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about right here. So this is a free kick from the outside circle. It's kind of direct, right? Ball's hit into the wall. It takes a bounce, then it's struck again. And I think it's an obstructed view. You make a great save, but it's spilled in a dangerous area. But you find that dangerous area, you get your shape back over to it and make a second ball and hold on to the ball. That is phenomenal. Let's start all the way from the free kick on what you're seeing here. So let's start right here. All right, set this up for us.
Yeah, so I mean, this kind of free kick, like this range for me, and because it's so central, I honestly like I'm a little bit more to my right, like a little bit more behind the wall, than I would be if it was a little bit further out. I feel like, actually, sorry, wait, I missaid that. I feel like, I maybe even should have been towards my left because it is closer in. But when it kind of readjusts, the wall breaks apart, and so I ended up being in a fine spot. When it kind of comes back to him here, because you see, I shift because the shot goes there initially, and it actually puts me right dead in the middle when he strikes the second ball. But I've got a lot of depth here, so I actually realistically probably should have gotten an extra step in, but kind of what I ended up getting away with was this big push, just off my left foot here, because I have enough depth. I think maybe I could be able to get a step in there, push that a little bit wider. Ends up being fantastic save, so I'm not gonna knock it. But I was able to get back up quickly, and just basically just threw myself across the goal. Because at that point, I mean, I don't know what else I can do, and got lucky that he happened to hit me right in the hands. But he was offside, so the second save didn't really count.
I was about to say that. I was
but
like, isn't he
I've left
offside?
I've left that in every single highlight clip just because it still looks so cool.
So, anything you want to add here?
Well, I think the key is the depth that you said. And we talk about this a lot, that, old school goalkeeping and stuff, it's the evolution of goalkeeping where it'd be like, all right, and when you can steal space, take a step forward, it gives you a better angle. But I think without the depth, and had you been like a yard forward or something, you could get beat with pace here. And even though somebody would say, yeah, but then your angle's closer, I think you have to take the pace into the ball. So I understand what you're saying about the extra step. Yeah, but I love that you're being nitpicky, because that's great, because that's how I am, and I agree. But I think that the key here is the initial hit off the wall to be able to reestablish your set position and be balanced to get the second shot is what's key here, as well as your depth.
I agree.
It's a great save. It's a great save.
No.
I mean, not a lot of goalkeepers would be able to reset grounded like centrally. They'd still be kind of readjusting, and that's when you get beat. But to be able to boom, set up, save, and then up again for the offside save.
Yeah. Now this one was one of my last academy games, my senior year of high school. But no, this was a good game for me.
I love this smile.
I think one thing that really impresses me on. Well, the thing is that, like Susky always says, don't follow one mistake with another mistake. The fact that it is spilled in that red zone area right there, you never lost sight of the ball, though. Like, you knew exactly where that ball spilled to, because when you immediately got up, you still had your eyes on that. So because of that, you're able to throw your shape into there, but you're still following the flight. It's not like you just threw yourself across and the guy could just slot it to the near post.
Well, I think it's also that quick recognition that there was no near post to slot it to, because you were there. I mean, he opens his hips up, he comes across, you can tell. And although you say he hit me, I was lucky, I don't agree with that. I think that there's an instinctual thing that, as a goalkeeper, the more you see things, and it's not cheating, it's just being tuned in. It's being dialed in and seeing those hips, seeing that movement, seeing the ball, his foot open up, like come across and realize he's going far, and getting kind of that millisecond of an extra movement to make that save. It's just good goalkeeping.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not lucky is the right word. I mean, I guess it's kind of the same thing as a penalty. Like, you see them kind of open up, like, if you get to that side, it's still a fantastic save. It's like, but someone would say, "Oh, I guess you got lucky that he hit it."
I guess you guessed, right? Yeah. And you're like, I didn't
guess. You guessed, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I hate that.
I mean, there's no element of reading it. Yeah.
I hate that with commentary. Oh, he guessed to the right side. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah,
because that's all goalkeeper is, just a guessing game.
It is. It's just moving. You just jump right or jump left, right? Just kind of like foosball, where they're on the little thing.
Who knows?
Go boom, boom, like that.
Yep.
Just like all right, let's
just spin it.
Let's go to this play right here. This is a simple pass back in a large space to you, Owen, and you kind of guide that ball. You kind of recognize, you scan to see what your best options are, and kind of when this chase starts happening right here, and you kind of see like, well, there's actually a mismatch higher. So you kind of guide here, and then you direct the ball up and high onto a counter ball right there. Talk about how like scouting and recognizing trends in a game is so important to be able to make a play like that.
Yeah, so I actually remember this game like really, really well, because we just could not get our build for whatever reason. We just could not get it right. And so when I picked up this ball here, I kind of figured that I would just drive in a little bit into the space, because they were pressing with two. And so they'd split kind of like to our center backs. And I realized that I hadn't really played long at all, and see if we could kind of get like any of those flick-ons kind of going forward. And I was able to kind of strike this one well enough to keep low onto his run where he was able to knot it in behind. But really, I was just kind of thinking like our center backs are split so far wide, and they're pressing up the field that they're just down. They're down numbers at that point. And so if you can skip a line, even if you're playing into someone's head, like second ball is knockdowns, all those types of things, like those second balls off of the initial longer pass, you're gonna be numbers up at that point if they're pressing with 6 or 7 guys high.
I mean, I think that's a high IQ play, you know, and this was your senior year.
Yeah, this is my senior year, and I don't think I would have been able to articulate this 2 years ago, but I think that's kind of one of those instinctual things. Like, oh, I see a lot of white people here. I'm just gonna send it to the guys in red up top. Whereas like now I'm like, oh wait, if I do that, then all these other things happen. So that's me learning the game over the past year and a half here.
I love that.
But no, that there was some element of thinking that went into this pass.
Yeah. Saskia, anything you want to add to it?
No, but I think I love that you said 2 years ago you wouldn't have been able to articulate it and somewhat instinctual, but it's true. And we see this a lot, you know, and you'll hear me commentate when I'm doing analysis in NWSL and stuff that I'm just like, Didi needs to send that ball high, or, you know, or Kayla needs to send that ball high because it can't get out of their back. And you've kind of lulled the defense into a sense of they're chill. They're just like, okay, they keep playing short. They keep playing short. They can't, we got them locked down. We have the press on them and everything like that. Well, you know, that's the time for the goalkeeper to say, hey, you know what? I can sneak one up here right now. And I can, it's a chess match. You draw them in, you play high. Well, now all of a sudden that press isn't so high anymore. Now all of a sudden you have more space to build up. We can go into this forever. You have more space to build out of the back because you've thrown one high. You know, it's the same thing as if you're just hitting long balls. All of a sudden now, well, no, I'm going to jump one under to somebody running in through the midfield. Well, now the defense, which was sitting back, now they can't. So now I'm pulling them out of position, and it's the same concept. And yeah, it comes with age, and it comes with now being able to articulate it and see it that way. But it is instinctual at some point. So
I want to finish off with this last clip right here because, you know, we were talking about, you know, mismatches and everything like that. And this is a situation, Owen, where it seems like you got your team kind of gets caught in a numbers down scenario. They're kind of the through balls like split between the two defenders. They're kind of going, you know, wide, you know, towards the near post. You're shifting. You've
what
got
a
your position.
huge indoor facility. I'm
Yeah.
like,
This place is so cool.
can we just bring it back? You're saying I got lost. I didn't hear a word you said, Mike, because I was like, oh my God, what is this place?
Yeah, there's the field that we were on. That's the middle of 3 full-size 11v11 fields.
And it's it's huge.
It's all indoor. It's called Grand Park, and it's in the middle of Indiana. And it is like a soccer warehouse now. Like
it's like it used to be like a Amazon warehouse or something. It's just massive.
I don't know. I mean, that place is massive. But for some reason I always have my best games in there, so it's got a special place in my heart.
I love the upper thing for the parents to stand on it and stuff. This is crazy. I want to go there. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Mike. I just couldn't get over the facility.
This is nuts. I didn't realize that LAX had like a space for you to play soccer.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Used to be an airplane hangar.
This is at O'Hare
in the middle of yeah.
Sorry, go ahead,
so
Mike.
it's a numbers down situation, and the ball is, again, like I said, split between the two defenders right there. You're shifting back, you're going negative, but you're following, you're tracking and tracking and tracking. And as Saskia, as we always talk about, you know, you don't approach here because then you're just opening up space. So you shift, recognizing that that player's got chase on them. You hold your position right there. The player tries to roof you, but you've got such great shape that you're able to just tip the ball over and wide like that. Let's talk about first off the numbers down area right here. What are you seeing here first off, Owen?
Yeah, so I mean, when he picks up this ball and starts kind of driving, kind of at our center back here, ideally, I just kind of want them to keep delaying right? So our central center back, who's the deepest at the time, ideally he just continues to kind of drop, giving our left-sided guy a little bit more time. He's in the full sprint, closest to the guy who actually ends up with the ball. We just at this point just kind of want to delay to give us a little bit of time to get numbers behind the ball. And so I just kind of want him to make it predictable as well. So at this point, I'm probably yelling like, "Hey, like force left, force right." Just kind of pick a side, make it predictable as we keep dropping. So he opens up, and so I can kind of see he's about to hit that ball. And so once I see the trajectory of this ball, you can see me start dropping there. But I'm like, as he hits that, I'm still kind of right at the edge of the 18. I was thinking like, hey, if he hits a flatter ball like closer to me, like I need to be able to get out and make a play on it. But once I see the trajectory of that going as far wide as it does, it's all about getting that depth that we talked about earlier. Because hey, like if his angle is already going to be poor, like when he strikes us, he's at the corner of the 6 basically. There's no point in me closing down and just losing reaction time. So at this point, like if I'm staying deeper in the goal, like I just have time to actually make the save and get my hand up there. Whereas if I'm 2 steps out, like closing down this angle, I basically just don't have any time to get my hand or move at all. And so that's probably going to go in over my head if I'm 2 yards closer to the ball.
Yeah, and then I think one of the things here is that, and we talked about that with Bushy last week, Saskia, in regards to like balls up above the shoulder. That's something that we need to train more and more and more, because players are doing that more and more from a tight angle right there. But because your shape was so positive and not negative, you're able to have that. I mean, it's still amazing reflexes to be able to flick this over right there. But like you put yourself in the best situation to be able to make this save right here.
Right. And this is the build. And so this is what we're talking about with, so this is what we're talking about with mentoring. I can bring it back around and everything. If you're a young player and you send a clip in and you send this final save, okay, great, you tipped it over. But what is actually brilliant about this is that you actually dropped deep. You got the depth. You know that the angle of the ball that was served in allowed you to do that. You allowed your defense to recover, to give pressure, which forces him to make a quick decision that he probably didn't want to make. He wanted you to come, which means he was going to slot it by you. You didn't. So now he's like, I can say this. Now he's like, oh, shit. Now I have to make a decision and I have pressure coming on me. And so that is intelligent goalkeeping. And how many kids do we see that'll see oh my God, I can go back to some NWSL games the other week. But how many players do we see that are caught out of position on that cross-field through ball? And I saw 2 goalkeepers the other week come for the ball out of the box, and it was a debacle, both of them. And then, or get caught in no man's land, not giving themselves enough depth, not recovering and getting themselves set. And so, it was very high IQ goalkeeping. So well done, Owen.
Yeah. And I think, as we kind of start, wrapping this up, I think it's really, really important, Saskia, what you just brought up right there, because like if you go to Owen or you go to Omar or you go to Chris Sharp at Colorado Rapids or somebody or Saskia, with tape, and you show them a bunch of final actions, there's only so much. I'm going to
say to you what happened before it.
And if you can't tell me, then that means
and even if you shanked a goal kick or a back pass and that led up to a final action save, I want to see that. Like, I want to see, okay, fine, you had a bad kick. What was your reaction after it? Wait, great job drop stepping, getting some depth and everything after making a mistake, not following one mistake by another, getting a good shape and making the save. So if you were to come to me with video, I'd be like, well, what happened leading up to this? Like that, I would say, oh, great tip. What happened leading up to this? Why were you where you were and stuff? And that is how you learn.
Absolutely. Well, Owen, I appreciate you taking the time, man. With not only this, but obviously, being one of our Union Pro mentors, I think it's going to be an amazing journey for all our young goalkeepers out there and their parents and coaches. I think we all can learn from each other. I might take some office hours with you. I mean, we all have stuff that we can learn from each other and bounce stuff off of each other. So I think that's also another thing too, is that don't. Everyone, regardless of what level you are in life, you can learn from them. And like you were saying, Owen, like you might take some office hours with some young players and you might go back from that and go, you know what? I got a lot out of that myself personally.
No, I actually was I kind of wanted to make a point about that a little bit earlier. I totally spaced on it, but but that is a huge thing. Like even the conversations I have with camp shutout kid Adrian, he was here on a visit the other day. I was like, this kid has one of the best mentalities I've ever seen, and that's something that I learned from him, and I've learned from the other kids that I used to train with, and like all of those relationships, all those peer mentorships, not even a player above me, like my same level, same status, or even someone younger than me, like we're all here to learn from each other. And so I actually also might be taking some office hours elsewhere on the app. So I might make use of it. I'll be honest. I'll have to.
But see, that's awesome.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Saskia, kind of as we wrap up and everything like that, one thing I wanted to hit on, and by the way, we are going to be doing a parents town hall, because I know there's people that have a lot of questions that Angie Bryan's going to be running, who runs a really, really fantastic goalkeeper parents group that is moving over to the Union. Is why should parents also ask questions and get guidance as well through this process? Why is it not just about the youth player?
Well, because I'm kind of thinking it's not my kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they can't, they might be able to turn to me and I might be able to coach them. I'm pretty sure 90% of the parents out there aren't goalkeepers. And so you have to educate yourselves as well. And, you want to understand, especially when you have a goalkeeper, that this is, what they want. Even if they just want to play in college or they want to play pro and stuff, understand the position, understand what goes into it, educate yourself. Nobody's expecting you to be an expert, but at least be able to ask the questions you need to answer. Like it could be simple things like, why did my kid put that many people in the wall? Or why didn't they put that many people in the wall? Or why was that offsides? Or why was that a foul? Or little questions, so you can understand the position and the game better, and understand the same thing I just said, the build up to why your son or daughter got scored on, or why they made the save and why it was good. So you can actually have an educated conversation with them, like, hey, really well done, way to cut that angle down and stuff. Like, you want to educate yourselves.
Absolutely.
And there are a lot of other questions mentally. Goalkeepers it's a tough position, and we're not crazy. I think we're the sanest people on the field, to be honest with you, to be able to deal with all the stuff we have to deal with getting scored on. But across the board, you want to be the best parent and the best person to lean on that you can be.
Yep. Owen's got 10 parents signing up for him next week. So he's going to be giving a lot of guidance to these parents on what it's like to be a college goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, guys, again, like I said, office hours start next week. This is a lineup of upcoming events that we got. There's like 30 mentors. So these are just some of the ones some of the examples right here. So you can go on there and you can check these all out. If you're wondering how the heck you get involved in it, everything is with Union Premium. A lot of you have been in the test phase, which is a Union Basic, which is still great and an amazing engagement form, and we encourage you all to keep interacting and engaging right there. But for literally like less than $5 a month, you're going to have access to some of the top people around the world. I mean, I literally can't tell you how massive this is for not just the goalkeeping community, but for the soccer community in general. I mean, I'm going to be taking advantage of it. I think Saskia's. I think we all are going to take advantage of it. So, Owen, if people want to connect with you outside of your office hours, what's your handle on the Union? Is it just Owen Cornell?
I believe it's just Owen Cornell. And then, honestly, I'm pretty good about Instagram DMs. So if someone wants to connect even more personally through there, it's Owen Cornell, just with an extra 2 L's at the end. But yeah, through the Union would be ideal, because we can obviously just set stuff up more streamlined through that.
Yeah, and I think that's really the important thing. So if anybody reaches out to me, I'm just going to be telling them, if it's overwhelming, if it's a quick thing, cool, DM me or whatever. But if it's a longer conversation, like set up an office hours, because honestly, it's just going to make it a lot easier for me to really sink my teeth into everything, as opposed to just kind of, sending you a thumbs up or like, hey, great save. No, that was cool. We really want to give a little bit more like that. And Saskia, I know this is something that was very strong with you too. So.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, if you want to reach out to us directly, it's contact@insidethe18media.com or at Goalkeeper Podcast on the Union if you have a guest suggestion or a topic suggestion. Shout out to all the people who've been sending guest suggestions and topic suggestions. Some of these guest suggestions have actually become mentors in the platform. So we really appreciate you reaching out and telling us about people we might have not have been familiar with. And with that all being said, guys, we're excited for Union Premium next week. That is all the time on Inside the 18, and we are out. Later, guys.
Bye, guys.